Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Allie and today's program is all about printmaking in honor of One Crazy Summer. So for this edition of DC Reads, printmaking ends up being a really important part of the story, as it's not only a way for Delphine's mother Cecily to make her art, but it's also a way that they end up connecting too. So, we don't have a kitchen and we don't have a machine necessarily that would be good for printmaking, but we do have stuff like paint, toilet paper tubes, and other stuff that we could use to try this at home. So for today's program, I'm going to show you some recyclables with the help of my cat Opal here. And yeah, that way we can try out printmaking ourselves. So give me just a second to get all of my materials together and let's get started. Okay, so some of our materials for today are, like I mentioned earlier, we have some toilet paper tubes, okay? I did my best to clean off the toilet paper. It might get in our way a little bit, but as you can see, it's okay if there's a little bit of fluff. I also, of course, have paint. So right here, I have some shiny gold stuff, but the most important part is that it's acrylic, okay? You can use other kinds of paint too, but I think acrylic is gonna work best for our purposes. And then this is optional, of course, but another thing too that might help us out to try out printmaking in different ways is actually a hot glue gun. So I have this and I have some backup hot glue sticks. Of course, if you are using that tool, well, I should say this tool in particular, please know that it gets very, very hot. So if you're not comfortable using it by yourself, get somebody else to help you with this, okay? Okay. So the last couple of things that we will actually use today are a paper plate to put the paint on. And then we also have a lovely big piece of paper to actually try out our printing on. So what we're going to do first is we are going to have our paper plate, and I'm just going to crack open my paint here. And whoops. I'm going to crack open my paint and I'm just going to put a whole bunch on there, okay? So it's a really nice gold thing. This makes it easier to clean up later too. Okay, so now that we have some of our materials down, I'll show you a couple of different basic things. So the most basic thing that we can do is we can take the end of our toilet paper tube, boop, and we can dip it in our paint. Dip, dip, dip. And then you can literally use that to make some basic shapes. See? So we have some circles and it starts to look a little bit like bubbles, right? And you can see too that I was able to get a couple of good shapes, but I will have to dip again fairly soon, right? So the circle is of course the most basic shape, but you can also try squishing your tube into different shapes. So I squished this one to look like a heart. So I'll dip that into my paint as well. Then I can try, oh, that's really cute. Right, so yeah, just like the other one too, if you look, you'll need to dip again in a little bit, right? Because it runs out of paint eventually. Now, another thing that I tried, and this is where the optional stuff comes in, is you can try making different shapes on the toilet paper tube too, with hot glue. So this way too, you can kind of see that it raises the edge here. It raises, and so it should work like a stamp. And this is how printmaking would normally work too. You would have a raised edge like this sometimes, and you would use it as a roller to squish the ink on the paper. So we'll try the same idea with some of our paint today. So this is a little bit tricky. I'm hoping this works. So I have my paint, and I'm gonna take a little bit of the paint. I'm just lightly dipping, because if you get too much on there, it's going to end up looking kind of muddly and you're not going to see your design. So a little bit of paint, not too much. I'm not trying to get a bazillion, a bazillion miles of paint on here. Okay, so dipping carefully. You can also use a paintbrush too. I just don't have one on me. But if you have one at home, you can try painting it on your roller and then rolling it, right? Okay. So if this works, we should see, roll, 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 roll. We can see it a little bit. I tried to write the word yay. So we have a Y, an A, and a Y, right? So yeah, So this definitely takes some practice, right? I actually also tried to write my name, so I'll put some more paint on and we'll see how that one turns out too. So you can see what I mean by too much paint too, right? I put too much on this end and now it's just a big splosh. It looks kind of like a superhero cape to me. Okay. This is also definitely something where if you have painter's clothes or something, you are gonna want to wear those. I'm just being extra careful with mine. Okay, so try this again. I tried to write my name. Here, I'll move the paper a little bit so we can see. Roll, 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 roll. Ah, it's a little bit there. See? A-L-L-I. And then the splotchy bit is E where I got too much paint. So yeah, so try it out at home. But remember, be careful with the hot glue gun. But there's a bunch of really cool things that you can do. You can try making polka dots like you can see on here, or like wiggly lines, or other shapes too. Oh, and one last thing as well to point out. If you're interested in doing stuff like lettering, something important that I want to point out at you, and something else too that's important to know for printmaking in general, these letters are backward. I wasn't sure if you could see it right away when I tried it, but I had to write Y, A, and Y totally backwards in hot glue. So this one might take a couple of tries, but it's kind of a fun challenge, right? Same thing for my name. There's a little bit less paint, so it's not working as well, but that's okay. Oh, that one worked really well. You can see a little bit of Allie, right? Okay, so that's it for today. That is printmaking in a nutshell. But yeah, let me know how it turns out for you guys. Alright, so that was printmaking in a nutshell, like I said. We would really love to see how some of your prints turn out. You know, you don't have to print full poetry like Cecily or Nzila does in the book, right? But we would really like to see some of the artwork that you make. And remember too that this is only one way of doing it. You can also try using sponges or cookie cutters or other shapes that you have around the house too. Make sure you ask permission though before you cover anything in paint, right? Okay, alright. That's it for today. Thank you once again for joining me. Please be sure to check out dclibrary.org/library@home for ebooks, audiobooks, puzzles, games, and a whole lot of other resources too. Also remember that our libraries are open again, so wear your masks, head in, and we would love to see you guys. All right, thank you very much, and have a good one. We'll see you guys next time.